Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Fine Lecture Series with Katsi Sikat. And for our episode today, this is one of my favorite topics that I usually discuss in portfolio investment management. Why? It's because I think this is one of the most creative, if not, no, and this is the most iconic um, topics that should be discussed and that you should be able to learn for this semester. Uh, Technical analysis is all about stock charts. It's all about, reading what technical analysts are actually seeing every day. And so after this topic, I'm sure you would be more interested to do or participate in the stock market activities. You're able to understand the jargons that most technical analysts are actually using in practice. And so without further ado, let's talk about technical analysis. But before that, let's do a quick recap of what technical and fundamental analysis is in terms of differences and how investors and traders use them. So when we say fundamental analysis, in other words, fundamental means basic. It's primary, it's foundational. So kung pag-uusapan natin ang fundamental at technical, you'd be asking me, ma'am, which of the two is most important, or which of the two is more important? Of course, I'm gonna tell you it's fundamental analysis, because fundamental analysis is where the term intrinsic value that Warren Buffett always keeps on mentioning, no, you have to base your decision based on the intrinsic value of a stock. So there is no other way to know or measure the intrinsic value of a stock kundi with the use of fundamental analysis lang. So fundamental analysis is taking into consideration so many aspects of an economy before ka mapadpad dun sa tinatawag nating stock selection, which is ito yung pinaka-core kung bakit mo kailangan gawin yung fundamental analysis, yung tinatawag nating stock selection. So before that, you have to take into consideration the bigger picture, which is macroeconomics, industry analysis, and company analysis. And so when we say macro economics, we're talking of the income and employment factors of a particular country or economy. So for example, if you would want to invest in the Philippines, you're a foreigner, the first thing that you have to look into is the macroeconomic factors, such as, do you have a very stable income generating properties in your economy? Do you have a stable employment rate? Do you have a stable inflation? How is your GDP and your GNP growth for the past 10 years? What about your trade cycles? No, yung tinatawag nating yung balance of payment natin. Do we have surplus or do we have deficiencies when it comes to our trading partners? No. What about the monetary and fiscal policies that is being implemented in our country? And so there are so many factors that is being dito pa lang sa macroeconomics, napakarami ng kinukonsider before you actually arrive at deciding whether a particular economy is worth investing or not. Kaya nga dito sa Pilipinas, isa sa mga pinagmamalaki palagi before the pandemic came was the continuous increase in the GDP. Pag sinabi kasi nating GDP, this is the income that the country is being able to produce in a particular period, no? And aside from the macroeconomic factors, we have the industry analysis. What we're trying to look into is, if you're very much interested to invest in a particular industry, let's just say the telco company, or should I say the telco industry, how is it in the Philippines? No, alam naman natin dito sa Pilipinas, we have two major players lang when it comes to telco. So napakababa ng competition. But if you would want to invest in airline companies, we know that in terms of airlines, we have Philippine Airlines, we have Cebu Pacific, and then of course there is an international player, which is the Air Asia, which is a Malaysian company. So very low pa din, ano? So what the industry analysis is trying to show or trying to project or analyze is what we call the industry classifications. You would want to know if ano ba yung mga major industry classification dito sa Pilipinas. Unlike sa South Korea, mas marami yung industrial, but in the Philippines, we have more on the services and the property. Kokonti lang tayo sa industrial because we are a consuming country rather than a manufacturing country. And then you would want to know the external influences of the particular firm which you are targeting. Ibig sabihin, if you would want to penetrate on the telco industry, how is the demographics? And we know naman, pag sinabi nating demographics in terms of Facebook users pa lang, napakarami. Kundi number 1, isa ang Pilipinas sa pinakamaraming Facebook users. So meaning, in terms of use of internet connection, napakarami talagang users ng Pilipinas. So we're talking of demographics such as the age, we're talking of the gender segregation, age segregation, the likes. And then we have governmental factors, meaning what are the industries that the government is supporting at the moment, ano yung priority, ano? So if you know that the government pushes industry to grow, kumbaga may tinatawag tayong may favoritism. So syempre if you're planning to invest in a stock which the government favors most, well, you know that you have an advantage on that side, no? Then we also have social factors. Dito sa Pilipinas, we are segregated with major islands such as the Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. So sa bawat isla na yan, merong iba-ibang social factors. So if you're planning to invest in a Mindanao-based firm, alam mo may bias yan sa mga taga Mindanao, at alam mo mga taga Mindanao, they have a different culture when it comes to the Luzon people. So things like this, social factors, and then technological profitability and risk, and of course industry growth. Isa din yan sa mga kinukonsider when it comes to industry analysis. And also product and industry life cycle. For you to be successful in a strategic analysis such as the fundamental analysis, you have to really understand the product and industry life cycle of a firm or of a product. Kasi yung mga investors, they would want to invest more on the kumbaga nandun na sa shakeout stage. Ibig sabihin, you have to look for industries that have already surpassed the growth stage. But syempre, kung ikaw yung tipong you have an eye for growing companies, dun pa lang sa embryonic stage, nag-i-invest ka na because you know that there is a potential. Sabi nga ni Warren Buffett, you have to look for stocks with great potential when it comes to their intrinsic value. Hindi pa na-discover ng iba, na-discover mo na. Diba? Kasi mas mura ang stock price ng isang stock pag nandun ka pa lang sa kanyang embryonic stage. But of course, it's high risk. Hindi mo alam kung masusurpass niya ba yung growth stage or even yung shakeout stage before ma-reach yung maturity or mature stage. And lastly is the Porter's 5 forces analysis. If you really want to have a good industry analysis, one way of doing that is by adopting the Porter's 5 forces analysis. This is something that can help you figure out if an industry is saturated already or not. And so what Porter's 5 forces analysis is looking into is the level of competition inside the market. And of course, part ng fundamental analysis, yung tinatawag nating company analysis. As you can see, yung order ng ating fundamental analysis, it's from the bigger picture to the smallest picture. So after identifying whether the macroeconomic factors are healthy, if you can see if the industry analysis or the industry is very much healthy and has a high potential, you can now go to the company analysis. So the company analysis is looking into the actual company that you would want to invest in. And so the last portion of that would be looking at the the business analysis, the management analysis, the financial analysis, and of course, the market analysis of that particular company. So if you would want to invest in, let's just say, Semirara Mining Company. Semirara Mining Company is owned, no, it's shared, kumbaga yung kanyang board composition, ang kanyang chairman at the moment is MVP or Manny Pangilinan. If you know Manny Pangilinan, they say that whatever he touches turns into gold. So, kumbaga dito tayo sa management analysis, you know that the corporate governance pa lang, no, knowing that it is being managed and being overlooked by MVP, the guy named MVP. Kumbaga magkakaroon ka na ng sense of comfort that, you know, this guy is really doing well when it comes to supervising public companies, no? Aside from that, of course, we have the financial analysis. Being FM students, isa ito dapat sa forte natin na we know how to measure intrinsic values of different companies based on financial analysis. So, dyan napapasok yung financial ratios, DuPont analysis, etc., etc. And then, under market analysis, dyan papasok yung nabanggit ko na kanina, Porter's 5 forces, and SWOT analysis, which means strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat analysis. And so, let's just say, this is one of the most rigorous part of trying to figure out which company or which firm is most profitable to invest in. So, it's not an easy task of pinpointing. If somebody would ask you, ma'am, ano bang firm ang pinakamagandang paglaanan ko ng investment ko at the moment? Well, the answer is this. You have to do a very rigorous process that we call fundamental analysis, where we talk about the macroeconomic factors, the industry analysis process, and of course, the company analysis. Aside from that, itong tinatawag nating company analysis can be divided into two. We call that the quantitative analysis and the qualitative analysis, which, by the way, the next topic after technical analysis is quantitative analysis. Okay. And so, should I say, sorry, it's qualitative analysis, I should say. Kasi pag-uusapan natin yung financial ratios after technical analysis. Okay. Now that we have discussed the recap of what fundamental analysis is, so probably it's high time that we talk about what technical analysis is all about. So at this point of the lecture, let's answer the question, what is technical analysis? So the difference between technical analysis and fundamental analysis is that technical analysis is just using statistics. We are using the past market sentiments. We are using the past market activity using prices. That's why it's statistics. We're using actual prices that were generated by the stock market activity. So aside from prices, we're talking of the volume. Okay. So it is we're just using prices. Unlike with fundamental analysis, we are talking of the core business activity. We are talking of the background. We're talking of the quality of products that a specific firm produces. So dito sa technical analysis, walang ganung bias. No? Hindi natin tinitignan kung gaano karaming buildings meron ng isang firm. Hindi natin tinitignan kung sino ang mga nagmamay-ari o stockholder ng isang firm. We don't look into the corporate governance that the firm practices. We don't care if kung gaano karami yung produkto na kanyang nilo-launch every year or every month. So with technical analysis, walang bias. You are only looking into the popularity of the firm when it comes to stock price. Okay? So there is three assumptions that is being used in technical analysis. Number one, the market discounts everything. Okay? Number two, price moving trends. And number 3, history tends to repeat itself. So ito lang ang underlying assumptions why the technical analysis is being done, not just by traders, but also of long-term stock investors. Because the aim of technical analysis is to really look at which point should the market sell and which point should the market buy. Okay, we're just talking of the prices. All right, moving into our slide. Here is a brief difference. So this is just an overview difference of fundamental versus technical. By definition, fundamental analysis looks into the stock values. I was saying kanina, the intrinsic value using economic factors and other non-economic factors such as yun nga, yung industry tsaka company analysis na ginagawa. But this is very fundamental because this cannot lie. Ito, hindi ka pagsisinungalingan nito kasi sabi nga nila, ang totoong kulay ng isang tao, mas nakikilala mo yan. Kung tatanggalin mo yung kanyang makeup, kung tatanggalin mo yung kanyang mga mamahaling gamit, ano ba ang pinaka matatandaan sa'yo ng tao once everything is stripped out of you? And so that would be your intrinsic value. So sa fundamental analysis, yun ang tinitignan mo. You're trying to strip away all of the bias that the market can give to you. And you're just looking at the actual picture of this firm. And ito talaga yun eh. Kumbaga, ito ikaw nang wala kang makeup. Walang nagsasabit, nagdidiktang ibang tao kung sino ka. This is who you are as who you are. And so that is fundamental analysis. While in technical analysis, you use price movement of security to predict future price movements. So kumbaga, this is kung titignan natin, ang technical analysis kasi is very biased. Okay? Kasi ang technical analysis is what people think about you. It's not who you think about yourself. It's what people think about you. Kasi nga ang technical analysis is more on the demand and supply of a particular stock. Okay? So, dito pa lang sa definition natin, technical analysis is using price movement and fundamental analysis is economic factors. So, sa fundamental analysis, this can't be changed just by the change in price movements of your stocks. Fundamental analysis change or economic factors or fundamental factors change when the firm is improving. Ibig sabihin, when you increase your, how do you call this? How do you term this? You increase your partnership with other firms, you increase your investments in terms of other business ventures, you increase value to the firm that can be benefited in a long-term basis. Okay, so you create decisions based on long-term benefits of the firm. So, dun lang magkakaroon ng changes. But definitely, hindi magbabago yung fundamentals ng isang kumpanya based on the price movements alone. And in terms of data is gathered from financial statements in terms of fundamental analysis and technical analysis. We just simply use charts. So ito yung pag-aaralan natin for this episode. Stocks is bought when price falls below intrinsic value. Okay? Again, the basis of stock purchase is when you know that you've conducted your fundamental analysis. You buy when stocks falls below intrinsic value. We will talk about this more on our next topics. Okay? Mas maiintindihan itong statement na to as we go on with our discussion. In terms of technical analysis, when trader believes they can sell for a higher price, look at this. Dito pa lang sa the ginamit na term is sell, no? It's really for profit, really. Technical analysis is really for trading or profit seeking using stocks in the market. So technical analysis, stocks is bought when traders believes or forecast that they can sell for a higher price. So you don't just wait for, or you don't look into the intrinsic value. There's no such thing. Kasi nga, nagpo-focus tayo sa price. So, we only look for an opening in the market and then you go buy it because you believe after a few months or after a few weeks, you can sell it at a higher price. Now, in terms of time horizon, fundamental analysis is long term. Ibig sabihin, you have no plans of selling your stocks in the next coming years. I'm buying this stock right now based on fundamentals because I know in the next 10 years, this stock will appreciate in terms, the stock appreciation value of this firm can go up to 50 or even more than 100%, diba? But in terms of technical analysis, short term, you have no plans of you have no plans of holding the stock for a very long time because the purpose is really just for trading. And for the concepts used, fundamental analysis is taking into consideration what we call the return ratios, no? The profitability ratios, which is ROE and ROA. Because sa fundamental analysis, what we want to know is how much should we getting out of investing in this particular firm. Okay, so the only way to know that is to measure the profitability using ROE and ROA. While in technical analysis, we're just really relying on the price. So here is an overview of the basic concepts that we will be discussing in technical analysis. The first part would be the definition of terms, the common jargons that are usually used by stock traders and analysts. We're going to talk about the different stock charts that are used and are commonly used by technical analysts, and the different chart types that you can usually see on the television, on websites, and even here in the picture that I used in this slide is an example of a chart type that we would be discussing about later. And then trends and channels, which is a result of the charts that we will be doing, because trends and channels are used to forecast the movement or the prediction of the stock price performances. And of course, the support and resistance line, this is used by stock traders as an instrument or as a feature to know when would be the opening and the closing of a particular trade. Ibig sabihin, this would be an opening where you can buy, and this is going to be a closing where you should sell. So using this support and resistance lines, you would be able to understand when to sell and buy in the market. And then last is the volume. Volume speaks of the trading quantity that has been recorded in a particular trading day. So without further ado, let's talk about what charts are all about. So charts by definition is called as maps of price performance. So when we say maps, alam niyo na, if you grew up watching Dora the Explorer, maps is where it's where the treasure is located, 'di ba? So, kung alam mo kung nasaan at kung alam mo kung paano basahin ang mapa, you would arrive at where the treasure is located, 'di ba? And it sheds light on supply and demand. Like I've mentioned a while ago, it's not about who you are, it's about what other people think you are. Like for example, if one particular stock is being hyped in the market, you would ask yourself, bakit kaya ito palagi yung binibili ng mga tao? And sometimes when a stock is hyped, whether it be stocks or not, kunwari sa isang bilihin sa merkado, when there is so much demand for a particular commodity, the tendency is the price goes up. Even if that particular stock is not that valuable, but because people are continuously demanding for this particular commodity, tumataas yung value. And you know which stock has more demand, right? So doon naglalaro yung price ng stocks, the mechanism of supply and demand. And it's also called as an investment roadmap. Investment roadmap in a sense that just like in maps, you should know where to begin and where to end. And so charts would do that for you. You know the point where you should buy and you know the point where you should sell. That's why it's called an investment roadmap. And lastly, charts show or projects the price and volume relationship. When we're using mamaya pag-uusapan natin yung trends, no? When we reach that portion that we're going to discuss about trends, it is very important that trends are confirmed by volumes. It's because as compared to, as you can see in this chart, mas significant yung movement ng isang stock price if it is confirmed by the level of volume or trading that happened in a particular day. So, as compared to other days with low volume, this stock trend will not be as significant without the volume confirming its movement. So, ganun ka-importante yung volume sa pagbabasa ng trends and stock patterns. That's why it's really important that as a future technical analyst, you know how to look into trends confirmed by the level of volume or trades in a particular day. Before we proceed to the different chart types that is being used in technical analysis, let's talk about the different elements, okay? The different elements that can be seen on the PSE electronic board. So aside from the electronic board, these are elements that can be seen in different websites that caters to different stock price information. So in my example right here, we're going to use Investograms as my example. Although napakaraming websites na nagkikater ng same information on stock prices. So for this particular discussion, I'm going to use Investograms, and I've chosen Jollibee Foods Corporation as my example. So as you can see, there is what we call the stock symbol. So JFC is the official stock symbol of Jollibee Foods Corporation. So every time you see the acronym JFC, you know that it's pertaining to the JFC or the Jollibee Foods Corporation stock. So let's begin with the open, low, high, and then close. So makikita ninyo yan sa mismong electronic board. So ang ibig sabihin lang ng open is the opening price of the day. Low is the lowest price of the day. High is the highest price of the day. And the closing price is the stock price at which the price or the stock was sold the time na nag-close yung stock market for a particular day. And also volume, which signifies the amount of trades that were executed for the given day. And then we have the market capitalization or sorry, the value of the stock trade for that particular day. And what else? We have I think yun lang naman yung elements ng electronic board. But aside from that, meron pa tayong mga ibang terminologies that stock traders use or the stock analysts use for them to help them predict the movement of the market. And it's what we call the 52-week high and the 52-week low price. So obviously naman, 52 weeks, this is a particular period na kung saan na-record yung pinakamataas at 52 weeks na na-record yung pinakamababa. And then we also have the averages or the moving averages in a period of 20 days, 50 days, 100 days, and 200 days. So it's just simply getting the mean price at an average or at the day of 20, 50, 100, and 200 days. So it's just getting the mean score or the mean price of the stock for this period. Again, this is used by the technical analyst to confirm trends and to forecast the performance of a stock price at a particular period. And then all of these terminologies that you can see here, earnings per share, price to earning ratio, pag-uusapan natin yan on the next chapter. So for now, these are just simply prices that are recorded every single day, and how technical analysts make decision making based on these prices. Okay? So, wala namang ganun kahirap dun sa terminology. Open, low, high, and close lang naman. Ano? Okay. So, importante naman dito at the end of the day is how do we see the entire picture just by looking at these prices. Now, going back to our charts. Okay? Going back to our charts, the first chart or the first commonly used chart that is being used by technical analysts is what we call the line chart. So ano ba yung line chart? This is the most basic of all the charts. Walang trading range kasi ang pinag-uusapan lang natin dito is the closing price. So whenever I ask you to look into a line chart or whenever I ask you to create a line chart, you will just be looking into the closing price of a particular stock, okay, over a particular time frame. All right. And then, of course, we have the bar chart. The bar chart is para lang siyang cross, okay? There is what we call the vertical line, the horizontal line, and there is a color. Okay, pag sa stock market, pagka nakita nyo na yung color red, it just simply means the stock prices went down. Ito namang blue or black, it depends upon dun sa gumagawa ng chart. Nasa sa kanya kung anong kulay, pwedeng pink, pwedeng green, but for some, they prefer to use blue or black, which means the prices went up. Okay, so ang ano natin dito, ang pinaka makikita natin dito is this body, okay? Kung dun sa line chart, sabi niya kanina, walang trading range. For the bar chart, you can already see the trading range. So kung gaano kalayo yung closing price dun sa opening price, okay? So this is the body of the bar chart. And the body of the bar chart would actually create a story behind the trading day. Okay? Mamaya natin pag-uusapan kung ano ang ibig sabihin or significance ng trading body or how would you create a story out of this range. Okay. So if the body or the bar chart is blue, ibig sabihin yung closing price of the day, oo nga pala, no? Kasi wala pala tayong opening price. Closing price pa lang pala tayo. Okay, sige. Okay, this point right here is the plot at which the daily high of the trading period was recorded. Okay, so ito yung highest price of the day. This is the lowest price of the day. And this horizontal line. Nalito na ako So this horizontal line represents the closing price. Okay? Niisip ko pa kung vertical o horizon pala, no? So horizontal price is the closing price. Wala pa tayong opening price dito. And as you can see, kapag ka yung previous closing price is lower, okay? The previous closing price is lower than the closing price of the day. It is a red bar chart. Always remember, we are basing the color of our charts on the closing price. So if the closing price of the day is lower than the closing price of the previous day, you know that it is a red bar chart. So regardless pa yan kung anong chart, whether it be a point and figure chart, whether it be a candlestick, as long as the closing price is lower, then you know that the figure would be red. And this right here is the price gap. Ito yung tinatawag nating price gap. Our next chart type is what we call the point and figure chart. But kung ako ang tatanungin, I would want to call this chart as the XOXO chart. Why? Because simply it's O's and X's, right? Unlike the bar chart, ang point and figure chart doesn't show the closing price of the day. It only shows the trading range of the day. So if it's O's, it means that the closing price is lower than the closing price of the previous day. So if it's a green, it means that the closing price of the day is higher than the closing price of the previous days. So, ibig sabihin, the color red signifies a lower price and the green color signifies an increase in the stock price. Okay. And as you can see here on the left side of the screen, you will see patterns. Okay? So, mamaya natin i-discuss ito, tong patterns na to, how can these certain patterns help our stock traders and our chartists, our technical analysts on when to sell and when to buy. So, right now we're just talking about the overview of the chart types. So later on, mas ma-appreciate natin kung ano bang ibig sabihin ng mga patterns na ito, especially when we discuss the candlestick charts. And speaking of which, our next chart type is the candlestick chart. As you can see, ito yung pinaka common that you can observe sa mga news, sa mga websites, even sa mga pictures that I kept on posting since the beginning of the semester. You've constantly seen candlestick charts as a symbol or an icon of the stock market. So, bakit nga ba siya tinawag na candlestick? It simply means mukha siyang kandila. Okay? There is an upper wick and there is a lower wick. Okay? So, W-I-C-K, tali. Okay? The upper wick is what we call the upper shadow of the candle. And this one is called the real body of the candle. And this one is the lower shadow. Okay. Now, for this upper shadow, nandito yung highest price of the day. As I've mentioned a while ago. HOD, highest price of the day. And then this is the lowest price of the day. Unlike the bar chart and unlike the point and figure chart, this is a complete set of data for a trading day. Okay, we have the high, we have the low, we have the close and open. So the difference between, or the difference of the candlestick with the point and figure chart and the bar chart, and also the line chart, is wala siyang opening price. So we know kung ano yung trading range talaga. It's a whole package. Everything is in here. Kaya mas commonly used ang candlestick. It's because everything that you need to know on the particular trading period is nandito na sa presentation na ito, which is the candlestick. And by the way, no, the candlestick chart was introduced by a rice trader called Monehisa Homa. He is a Japanese trader of rice. Nauna siyang nagtinda ng bigas bago in-apply ito ng mga Westerners sa stocks. So it was introduced by this Japanese guy, and he said, psychological aspect of the market is critical to trading success. So as you can see, ang sinasabi kasi natin is yung behavior or sentiment ng market. It's not, like I said, it's not about who you are, it's about what people think you are. So ang basehan dito is yung galaw ng market as a majority sentiment of all the investors. So hindi mo daw makukuha yung trading success without looking into the psychological aspect of the market. So speaking of candlestick charting, I'm going to, at this point of the lecture, I'm going to teach you how to create a basic candle chart. Syempre, the first thing that you have to do is to download the information of the firm that you're trying to evaluate. So in this case, I chose GT Capital Holdings as my example, and I'm using ph.investing.com as my source of historical price data of the firm. Kaya ko to pinili, itong investing.com, because you can easily select the dates that you want to cover. So as you can see, I've chosen September 26, 2020 to October 26, 2020, 1 month data range. Okay, so what you would want to do is to download your you want to download this information, and you want to export it to your Excel sheet so that you can create a basic candlestick chart. But syempre, tulad ng pagmamaneho, before ka mag-automatic, kailangan marunong ka magmaneho ng manual. So before ko kayo turuang gumawa ng candlestick sa Excel sheet, let's try to do one manually. Okay? Kaya ba yun? I know it's pretty challenging, but I know you can do it. Kasi sabi nila, once natuto ka na magmaneho sa manual, kayang-kaya mo na yung automatic. But the fundamental of it is you have to know how to drive a manual car. Okay. So kapag ka na-export nyo na yung data ninyo, okay, so here's an example. This is a January 2019 to February 28, 2019. Although I have the entire 2019 sheet, walang problema. I'm only considering the January to February. This is a 2-month historical stock price. Okay. So if you want to know the basics of candlesticks, actually ito yung pinaka ginagamit ko kasi mas detailed siya as compared to the traditional red and green candlestick charting. Okay, so there are 4 colors of candlesticks. As you can see, this is the hollow block or the black candlestick. This is the white candlestick, and then this is the hollow red candlestick, and this is the red candlestick. For some chartists, depende yung kulay, no, sa ginagamit nila. But for this discussion, I'm going to use black, white, and red for the color of the candle. By the way, itong candlestick chart is not only used in stocks, it's also used in forex or the foreign exchange trading. It's also used in oil. It's also used in rice. So anything that is where how do you call this? Kumbaga beneficial yung paggalaw ng price sa mga commodities or kahit na ano pa yan, whether it is an investment or not, you can use candlestick chart in predicting the movement of prices. Okay? So mag-start tayo dito sa black candlestick. So merong qualifications for each candles. Okay, tandaan natin, meron kang kailangang i-prove na qualification before you can say that a particular candle is considered as any of these 4. Okay? So, tignan natin mabuti. For a black candlestick, the closing price of the day is higher than the closing price of the previous day. So, maliwanag, no? The closing price of the day, we are only basing our answer on the closing price. Kasi ganun ka-importante yung closing price or the last price at which the stock was traded in a particular trading period or a trading day. Okay? Again, closing price of the day is higher than the closing price of the previous day. Kasi kung hindi, kung ang closing price of the day ay mas mababa, dalawa na lang ang pinagpipilian mo. Pag ito ay lower, it's red, hollow red, or red candlestick. But kung mas mataas, closing price of the day is higher than the closing price of the previous day, dalawa lang ang pinagpipilian mo. It's either black candlestick or white candlestick. But anong pinagkaiba ng black sa white candlestick? Ang black candlestick, the closing price of the day is higher. Okay? Ako, baliktad yata. This should be lower. Lower. And this should be higher. Nagkabaliktad po. Sorry, guys. Okay? Okay. Kasi ito dapat high-low. And this should be high-high. O, tama. Okay. So, the closing price of the day is lower than the opening price of the day. Closing price of the day is lower than the opening price of the day. Ito yung tinatawag nating sayang. Munti ka na. Okay? Bakit? Kasi ang ini-aim natin dito na bullish candle, yung tinatawag nating talagang increasing in price, is the what? The white candlestick. Kumbaga, pinaka-supreme ang white candlestick. Why? The closing price of the day is higher than the closing price of the previous day, and the closing price of the day is higher than the opening price of the day. So, ibig sabihin, napaka-consistent nung pagtaas niya. Mas mataas siya, closing price, mas mataas siya sa opening price. Again, what we want to achieve is this white candlestick. Kaya nga yung black is mumuntikan na, sayang. Mas mataas na sana siya sa closing price, kaso hindi umabot yung opening price of the day. Now, moving on to our next set of candles. We have the hollow red and the red candlestick. Okay? In the hollow red candlestick, the closing price of the day is lower than the previous closing price of the previous day. So, parehas sila dito ng field red tsaka ng hollow red. Same lang sila na ang closing price of the day is lower. So, kung makikita nyo, they have the same description dun sa previous day. But the difference is, with the hollow red, ito yung mumuntikan na. Mumuntikan na, pero buti na lang. Okay, bakit? Closing price of the day is higher than the opening price of the day. Unlike itong field red, closing price of the day is lower than the opening price of the day. Ibig sabihin, this is low. This is the least candlestick that you would want to see. Kasi red na red. Ibig sabihin, sayad na sayad. Lower than the previous day. Lower pa yung opening price of the day. Okay? So, again, if you can see that each candle has its own story to tell. Okay? So, unlike yung usual na candle na nakikita natin, this one is a more detailed candlestick formation. And I usually require my students to try to plot this manually. Kasi napakadali lang naman gumawa using Excel sheets. But I want you guys to experience how to create candle sheets manually. At dahil dyan, it's gonna be your activity for our discussion now that we're talking about technical analysis. Okay. So, using this information, let's try to do this, or let's try to apply this candlestick formation using this information that I downloaded from the GT Capital stock. Okay. So, tingnan natin mabuti, no? So, this is the closing price of the day. So you can see may kulay na siya. Red and green. So pag sinabi mo kasing green tumaas, pag sinabi mong red bumaba. So let's try to do it. Okay. So mag-start tayo with January 3. The closing price of the day, January 3. If I'm gonna ask you, is it higher or lower than January 2? Is 930.56 higher than 916? Of course, the answer is yes. Okay, so automatic you know that this is a either black or white candlestick, but not red candlestick. Now, the next question would be, is this higher than the opening price? Okay, is this higher than the opening price of the day? 930 versus 916, you know that it's higher. So if it's high, you know this is a white candlestick. Next, for this one, closing price of the day is what? Is it higher or lower than the closing price of the previous day? So the answer is lower. So alam mo na that your answer right here would only be filled red or hollow red. Now, let's look at the opening price. 921.3 versus 930.56. So the closing price of the day is lower than the opening price. So this is red. So you know this is a pure red candlestick. Next. Same goes with this one, 912, 921. This is low than the previous closing price, and this is also lower than the opening price. So this is filled red. Now, how about this one? So again, it's the same. Filled red candlestick. How about this one? Okay. So, ito tumaas na siya, no? From 890 to 933. I wonder kung bakit ganito kataas yung itinaas. Something happened today, January 9, 2019, kung bakit siya tumaas ng ganyan kalaki. Something might have happened during that day. So, high. This is going to be a white candlestick. Oops, sorry. White candlestick. Next, 944, 939. This is also white candlestick. Okay. And this one, 924. I think this is also red candlestick. Naghanap ako ng black eh. Wala pa yatang lumilitaw. Wala pa. This is white. Okay. How about this one? 916. This is also red. I'm just waiting for another candlestick. This is also white. This is white. Walang ano eh. Walang lumalabas so far. 972, 941. Ang galing naman ng stocks ng GT Capital. Very volatile, ano? Hindi man maliliit yung gaps. Napakalalaki ng gaps nila. 960, 962. This is red. 967, 962. Nothing, ano. Okay, 962 and 958. Okay. This one is different. Okay. 962.04 is lower. Okay. This is lower than 967.59, right? So you know this qualifies as a red candlestick. But as you can see, the opening price, it's higher than the opening price. Ulitin natin. Yes, it's lower than the previous closing price, but it's higher than the opening price. So this is going to be a filled red candlestick. Now this one is different. So sabi sa inyo, it's a filled red. And this one is 962.96. Okay? Almost. Konting-konti na lang. Magtutugma na. Ngayon, what if it's unchanged? So, unless hindi siya bumaba, it's still considered as black or white if it's unchanged. Magiging red lang siya if it's lower than the closing price of the day. Okay? So, this one is... okay. 947, 962.96. So, it's still a white candlestick. So, ganun lang. Now, how are you going to plot this table, no? Always remember that your y-axis would be your price, okay? Y-axis would be your price, your x-axis will always be your date. Okay, how do you create a candlestick chart using the Excel sheet, no? Napakadali lang. What you're going to do is just arrange your columns into the arrangement as specified in this chart, which is available in Excel. So, meron tayo dito all charts, and then we have stock. So, according to the Excel pattern, you have to make sure that your column is arranged according to the volume, open, high, low, and close. So, in this case, inayos ko na siya. What we're going to do na lang is to highlight the cells na gusto mong gawan ng chart. Okay. Insert chart, all charts, and then stock. Then, pindutin natin yung volume, open, high, low, and close. And we just simply say, okay, oh, there you go. Andun na yung ating stock chart. Okay, para mas maganda yung litaw ng ating stock chart, ang pinakamagandang gawin natin dito is i-edit natin yung ating axis. So, as you can see, you can also change the data of your X and Y axis. So, for my minimum, I'm gonna make it 850 na lang since the lowest price is at this point. And then, ang aking, gagawin ko na lang 50. Ayan. Okay, if you want to make it 10, pwede rin naman. Or 20, let's just say 20, para maganda talaga yung itsura ng ating chart. Ayan. Okay, ayan. Kitang-kita mo yung shape ng bawat kandila. And nasa baba, yung ating volume. So, makikita mo kaagad nung February 15, 2019 is umabot ng almost 350,000 yung volume range for that day. Okay, so ayan, kitang-kita mo na. And you can easily edit your chart. No? Gawin nating GT capital. Okay. Historical stock price. Okay. All right. So don't forget to label your chart so that you know kung ano yung sinusolve or not. Okay? So, ganun lang kadali. It's very, very easy to create a stock chart with a volume bar. So, if you would want to change your graphical presentation, like for example, you don't want to include the volume bar in your chart, pwede naman. You can always change your graph, right? So, pwede naman to. Change chart type. So, kung gusto mong tanggalin yung volume, you can do that just by removing the column of the volume. So, with this example, tinanggal ko na yung volume column. I can easily insert my new chart. Okay. So, yung open, high, low, close. So, make sure magkakasunod-sunod yung column na naka-highlight para ma-recognize siya ng Excel sheet. So, open, high, low, close. And then, press OK. And then, we can always modify our format para mas maganda yung litaw ng ating chart. So, gagawin kong 850 yung ating minimum. And then, gawin kong 20 yung ating factor. Yan. Alright, and then we're gonna spread this thing out. Okay. Alright. There you go. And then you can always copy paste this chart, whether it be on your PowerPoint presentation, whether it be sa Microsoft Word, you can always copy paste this. Make sure you are editing your chart title. This is GT Capital Holdings. Historical stock price. Okay, so there you go. Ganun lang kadali. Aside from the Microsoft Excel sheet, you could also use other websites online na kung saan pwede kayong mag-create ng candlestick chart presentation. But this one, I'm gonna show to you another way of doing a candlestick chart using the Google Sheet. So the difference is, unlike sa Microsoft Excel, no, you have to input your data right here. Kailangan mo pa siyang i-download. With Google Sheets, the one that I'm using right now, if you're subscribed to Google, you have a Gmail account, you can also use other applications na ino-offer ni Google. So one of them is the Google Sheets. So without importing the data, you could already create a candle sheet as it is, no? Wala kang ibang ika-copy paste. Dito na kaagad, lilitaw na siya. Because Google has its own Google Finance, kumbaga parang Yahoo Finance, meron siyang sariling Google Finance. Let's say, for example, I want to look into the stock price of Facebook, okay? So, as you can see, I'm using a foreign firm. Facebook is an American company. Kasi ang Google Finance, hindi pa masyadong available yung mga local stock prices. So, as much as I want to create a local example, hindi ko pa siya natatry sa lahat. Kasi kanina I'm using San Miguel Investment Corporation sana. Hindi siya lumilitaw. So, for now, just for the sake of showing to you that you can use Google Sheets to directly import data, so Facebook muna ang gagamitin kong sample. So FB, comma, let's say you want to look at the price of Facebook nung, I'm thinking birthday of my mom, which is January 10, 2020. By the way, you know, ang Google kasi parang ang Microsoft Excel din, no? Meron silang kanya-kanyang programming symbolisms na ginagamit. So if you would want to know more about this, there are a lot of tutorials online, especially on YouTube. So you could see kung paano yung programming language ng Google Sheets. So just using this, this code, and typing enter, keying in enter, lilitaw na yung kanyang stock price magically without importing anything. Lilitaw na siya at January 10, 2020 price is $218.06. Okay? So, ang galing. Make sure, syempre, connected ka sa internet if you would want to use this feature. So, if you are planning to look into a more bigger data, napaka-dali lang naman yung gawin dito. You just simply key in the correct code. Let's just say Google Sheets ulit. Google Finance. And then I would want to look into the stock price of Facebook in a 3-year data ang gusto kong makita. So, pwede natin gawin yon. So, I'm just gonna simply click all. Alright, comma, date, right, the year, and 3 years from today. Okay. Ayan, no? Napaka-busisi lang nung kanyang code. At isa pa to sa mga inaaral. But once you get to have a hand on how to do this technically, no, wala ka ng problema. So, knowledge is power, you know, guys. Okay. You have a choice here if you want to do it on a weekly or daily. So, pwede. Okay. Para lang hindi masyadong marami gawin nating weekly prices. Okay. And then, close parenthesis. Loading. There you go. So, lilitaw na yung stock prices niya magmula 2017 hanggang 2020, and from there you could already create a stock chart here using the Google Sheet. So tingnan nga natin if we can do it right now. So just simply highlight the cells like that, insert chart. So it's still loading. Oh, there you go. Meron na automatic, no? Line chart ang ginawa niya. But what we want to do is a candlestick chart. And then just simply key in aggregate. And then, okay, that's it, no? You already have your own candlestick chart. But of course, marami pang pwedeng gawing pwede mo pa siyang i-customize, no, on how you would want to use it. But what I would just want to tell you guys is that the Google Sheets have that kind of feature that you no longer have to import your data at nandito na siya kaagad. And then you can just simply create a very beautiful candlestick chart. And before I forget, I think I missed the point where I have to teach you how to create a basic line chart. Sige. So before I proceed with the next discussion, let me just teach you how to create a basic line chart. Remember, pag line chart, we're only taking into consideration the closing price of the stocks. So just simply highlight the date and of course the closing prices, and then just insert a basic line chart, and yeah, it goes show, and it looks like this, right? So ganun lang, napakasimple lang. And if you want a better look of the chart, gawin na lang natin, sabihin natin 20. Ayan, yung interval natin. So, para mas maganda. Ayan ang litaw. Okay, so this is a basic line chart of GT Capital Holdings. Basic line chart. Okay, so very, very easy. Now, for the benefit of those people who do not know how to manually create a graph, siguro now is the time that we review how to create a graph. So, ayan, gumawa na ako ng this is like a graphing paper. Ayan, naka-zoom in na rin for the benefit of those who are not knowledgeable or hindi pa ganun kasanay gumawa ng charts kung paano gamitin yung X and Y axis natin. As you can see, this is going to be our x-axis where the price of the securities are located. This is the range that I've used for the entire month of January 2009. Okay? So, ito ay 1 month lang naman. So, if you would want to create a chart na hindi gawa sa Excel, the first thing that you have to do is always look at your y-axis and your x-axis. So, tignan muna natin ano bang una nating pinaplot. Okay, the first thing that you have to plot is the high and low. Okay, so for January 2019, the highest of the day is 916.2 and the lowest is 885.19. So, as you can see dito sa chart na ginawa ko, 5 yung interval natin. Make sure when you do a chart, very consistent yung interval. Hindi pwedeng 10, hindi pwedeng after 10, magiging 5, magiging 20. So, kailangan consistent. If you started with 835 and then followed by 840, kailangan hanggang 5 yung interval or else inconsistent na yung chart mo. So, let's see if we can do it manually. I'm gonna insert a line first. So, highest of the day is 916. So, it's probably around this area, 916. And the lowest is 885. Okay? 916. Alright, 916 just above 915, and what again? 885. Okay, 916, and then lowest price of the day is 885. So just above this thing right here, almost 885. Okay, now the next dilemma would be your opening and closing price, right? So the 916.2 is same with the highest price. The closing price is same with the highest price of the day. So instead of line, let's use a rectangular shape. 916, so same, and then 902. Okay, so 902. Ito lang, just above 900. 902. Okay, so alam mo na ganyan ang itsura ng candlestick chart mo for January 2, 2019. So since parehas yung closing price and parehas yung opening, right? Highest and closing, closing price and the highest price is same. How about January 3? Again, you start with your highest and lowest. 935 and 893. So 935, insert 935, 893, 985, 930. Sorry, I know, sorry. 935, 935, and lowest is 893. So just below, just above this one, 888. Okay, 893. Yep, gitna. Right, there you go. And then insert. Okay, next is your opening price and your closing price. 930.56, 930.56, and 916. So 930. So alam mo, nandito siya. And kalimutan ko, 916. 930 and 916. Alright, there you go. So meron siyang upper shadow and medyo mahaba yung kanyang lower shadow. Okay, so ganun lang kadali ang pag-plot manually using your ano ba tawag dito? Graphing paper. So for your next activity, you have to manually plot your candlestick using a graphing paper. So ganun lang kadali. Walang ka-hassle-hassle. Kayang-kaya. So whenever you are manually plotting your graph, please make sure that you're using the correct pen. Okay, so we're gonna accept black or blue ball pen if it's if the closing price of the day is higher than the closing price of the previous day, or you can use black or blue ball pen, but we are going to strictly use red ball pen if the candles are filled red or hollow red. Okay, so for example, dito sa January 4, we know that this is a red candlestick. So pagka nag-plot tayo dito, yung ating kulay, make sure this is going to be red. Okay. Sige, mamaya na lang natin i-edit, or i-edit ko na lang later. Okay. So tingnan muna natin yung high of the day and low of the day. That would be high is 932, low is 917. So 932, so just above this 932, and 917. 917, so just above 915. Okay. Right. So let's make that red. Saan na ba? Shape outline. It's gonna be red. Yan. Then insert another one. Rectangle. The open and close. Okay. 930.56, 921.3. So 930, 930, 930, and 921. 930 tapos 921. Okay, just above 920. Okay, let's make that red. Okay, so please be mindful whenever you are nasa na ba yung ano natin? Shape outline should be red. Ito na siya eh. Okay, so ganyan po siya. Right? Beautiful, beautiful candlestick. So, ganun din, dito sa January 7, it's gonna be a red candlestick. So, let's try to input one more candle. Sige, para mas happy tayo. High and low is 944 and 912. So, inserts. Ayan. Medyo nakaka-test ng patience ito pagka ito na yung pinapagawa ko sa mga students ko. But it's a fun thing to do. 944, 944. So, just below 945. And then, saan na ako? 912. 912. Napakalayo. 912. Okay. Let's make that red. And then, for the open and high, na ba tayo? January 7 na pala tayo, no? January 7, tama. 921 and 912. 921. 921, 921, just above 920, and then 9112. Okay, just above 910. Yun. Okay. Shape fill is red. Alright, so that's it. That's how you do it. Make sure you are very much aware of the color of the candlesticks para hindi kayo magkamali sa inyong gagawing candlestick chart. So, ganun din sa bar chart and ganun din sa point and figure chart. Now that you know how to create a basic line chart, a point and figure chart, a bar chart, and a candlestick chart, let's talk about the significance or how the stock traders and the technical analysts use the candlestick chart to predict or to forecast the movement of the market as a whole. If you're very much well aware of the stock market, you know by now that the symbol of this market is the bull and the bears. So it has nothing to do with zoology. It just simply signifies the movement of the prices in the market. So the bull market represents optimism and it means that the prices are going up, while the bear market means pessimism, which means the prices are going down. So as we look into the definition of the bull and bear market, their implication, I want you guys to remember that these two, bakit nga ba sila yung napiling symbolism ng stock market? It simply means it is their action. Ibig sabihin, may kinalaman sa galaw ng dalawang hayop na ito, ang galaw ng stock market. Ang bull kasi, pagka umaatake yan sa opponent niya, palaging pataas or sinusungayan. So, the movement of the bull fighting its opponent is upward, while the movement of the bear fighting its opponent is downward. Diba? Kung titignan nyo nga naman, kung paano sila makipaglaban sa kanilang mga kinakalaban, makipaglaban sa kanilang opponent. So, para silang naglalaro ng football. Okay? So, sa larong football, there's what we call the touchdown area. So, in a football game, kailangang madala ng opponent yung bola sa kabilang side or sa side ng kalaban. So, kung dito yung side ng bull, dito naman yung side ng bear, kailangan yung bull madala niya dun sa side ng bear yung bola. Okay? So, para masabi niyang touchdown. Alright. I know we're not a country that is very much fond of playing football, but the idea is when there is a rally or the period is ongoing, we call it rally, and nag-rally yung prices. It depends on who wins the game at the end of the day. So, ibig sabihin, sino ang nag-push ng prices downward or upward. So, kung sino ang nagwagi at the end of the day, doon natin malalaman kung sino ba ang nag-touchdown ng bola. So, if you are the bull, kailangan mairally mo upward yung price. But if you are the bear, kailangan mairally mo downward yung price ng stock. So, ano bang ibig sabihin? Bakit kailangan pinupush down and up yung prices? So, the bulls are the buyers while the bears are the sellers. Okay. Tignan nating mabuti yung description niya. When you are a buyer, pag bumili ka ng stock, you have an intention of selling it. While if you are a seller, you would want if you have an intention of selling, you would want to rally the prices lower. Kasi nga, bibili ka eh. You would want prices to be at a lower price para bilhin mo yung stock. But if you are buying, you have an intention of buying it at a higher price. So, therefore, bulls are represented as the buyers while bears are represented as the sellers. So, tandaan nating mabuti, if you are buying something, or if you are a buyer, hindi ka naman magbebenta at a lower price. You would want to buy at a higher price. So, therefore, you push the prices up. Now, if you would want to sell, kung gusto mong bumili, hindi ka bibili at a higher price, bibili ka at a lower price. Ngayon, yung rally na yun, yung tinatawag nating agawang base, kumbaga, no? is very similar to the game of football. Kaya, for the next slides, we are going to constantly read the word rally, kasi galing nga siya dun sa salitang, or para siyang similar dun sa idea ng game of football. Okay. Speaking of football, but before that, pag-usapan naman natin yung supply and demand ng securities at bakit, how come it's very important that we know how to distinguish a bullish market from a bearish market, and why is it related to the supply and demand for securities. So, in a bull market, there is a strong demand and weak supply for securities. So, alam natin, pag sinabi nating bull, it's a buying activity. So, there is a strong demand. Strong demand means there is a large or huge buying activity. So, when there is strong demand, there is a huge buying activity. Okay? At kukonti yung supply. Taas yung demand, kukonti yung supply. So, in other words, many investors wish to buy securities but few are willing to sell them. So, as a result, share prices will rise as investors compete to obtain available equity. So, ang pinag-uusapan natin dito is yung equity. When there is so much demand and there is a short supply, tendency, the prices will rise. Oo nga naman, di ba? So, this is another explanation naman kung bakit tumataas at bumababa yung share prices at nire-relate natin siya sa supply and demand. On the other hand, in a bear market, the opposite is true. More people are looking to sell than buy. The demand is significantly lower than supply, and as a result, share prices drop. Again, so this is another side of the story dito sa pinag-uusapan nating bulls and bears. So sabi niya, more people are looking to sell than buy. So, dahil walang bumibili, kasi ang gusto lang ay magbenta, yung demand is what? Significantly lower than the supply. So, as a result, share prices drop. Kaya nga daw, bumababa. Or, kumbaga, downward ang slope kapag bearish ang market. So, let's go and describe. Dahil naintindihan na natin yung bulls and bears, let's go describe the formation of each candlestick. So, kanina, dinescribe ko na this is the real body of the candle. This is the upper body and the lower body. Or we call it the upper shadow or the lower shadow. So, ano daw bang ibig sabihin nitong different candlestick formation na ito? So, if it's a long white candlestick, again, iniba lang yung itsura nito. But pag white candlestick, it means supremacy. This is more on a bullish candle, while this one is black. Or, ito rin yung masasabi nating kumbaga iniba lang yung kulay, but this signifies the red candlestick. Okay? So, magkakaiba lang yung kulay na ginagamit, but it also means the same. So, this is, isipin nyo na lang, this is a red candlestick, white and red candlestick. Okay, so if it's a long white candlestick, it indicates that the bulls controlled the ball game for most of the game. So, pag bulls, ang closing price natin is nandito. Kaya nga siya white eh. Ang closing price is always at the top. So, ibig sabihin, ang nagwagi dito sa trading period na ito is yung bulls. Kasi, from the opening price, they were able to rally or push the prices up. Sige, palitan ko lang tong pointer ko ha. Gawin natin siyang laser. Alright. So, from the opening price, they were able to raise the prices up. So, therefore, ang nagwagi sa trading day na ito are the bulls. While the opposite of that is a long black candlestick, or let's just say this is a red candlestick. So, this is a bearish game kasi pababa. So, this is the opening price and this is the closing price. So, na-i-drag nila pababa yung price at the end of the day. And then the small candlestick signifies that neither team could move the ball and prices finished about where they started. So, kung paano yung closing price, ganun din yung, kung paano yung opening price, ganun din yung closing price. Halos hindi gumalaw, no? So, very insignificant yung movement. Halos, kumbaga neck to neck, ika nga nila. And for the longer lower shadow, okay, ano bang ibig sabihin ng shadow na yan? Kumbaga ito, the bears were able to push the prices down, pero, nagwagi pa rin yung mga, yung mga bulls. Kasi ang closing price natin pag white candlestick is nasa taas. So, yes, they were able to push the prices down, but at the end of the day, ang nanalo pa rin is yung mga bulls. And, ano pa ba? Number 5. Kapag naman daw mas mataas yung upper shadow, yes, the bulls were able to push the prices up, but at the end of the day, ang nanalo pa rin is yung mga bears. Kasi ang closing price pa rin ang basehan ng trading period or trading day. Okay? So, no matter how they push the prices up, still, the bears were able to dominate. Kasi ang closing price is nasa baba. Pero ano daw yung ibig sabihin ng long upper and long lower shadow? So, sabi niya, the bears and the bulls had their moments during the game, but neither could put the other away, resulting in a standoff. So, parang ito, quits. Yes, the bears were able to push the prices down and the bulls were also able to push the prices up, but at the end of the period, yung opening and closing price halos magkatabi or halos same. So we call that as a standoff. All right, now that we know the basics of the stock charts and how to read the candlestick chart, for the next part of our topic, we will be discussing about the different patterns, stock chart patterns, and we're going to talk about the resistance and the support line and the moving averages. So for this video, and for this particular topic, we're gonna cut this short so that meron pa kayong aabangan next time or next meeting. But definitely, this is just the first part of our discussion in technical analysis.